Hello. This is our Fast Global. They're going to come on over and have a seat on the chairs. So my name is Amelia Beatty, and I am on the board of directors for FAST headquarters. And I have been a volunteer coordinator for our FAST Global chapters for the last several years. You undoubtedly remember our presentation last year on the stage, where our FAST Global chapters described all that they've been working on in their countries and their regions and all that they have accomplished. So they work very hard, and it is truly awe-inspiring, the incredible work that they are doing. So as FAST Global grows, we are very excited to announce today our new staff member dedicated to our work around the world, Ellen Kukuks, who joins our team at FAST headquarters as our global advisor. So Ellen will introduce herself a little bit.
Thank you, Amelia. Really excited to be here. I'm really, truly honored to be part of the FAST team. And for the people who don't know me yet, so I'm Ellen. I live in Belgium together with my husband. And together we have a daughter, Hazel, who is 5 years old. And she has been diagnosed with Angelman syndrome about 2 years ago at the age of 3. I have over 10 years experience in the pharma industry, having launched several drugs myself. I know what it takes to bring a drug to the market, really going from drug development to regulatory approval to reimbursements. But I do know, however, that every country and every region is very different, and you all face your very own challenges. So I'm really, really eager to collaborate together with the FAST chapters and to see how we can address the different challenges. Thank you.
Welcome, Ellen. So I'm going to introduce our FAST Global chapter leads who are with us today, and then pass it over to Alana for the Q&A. So we have Melina Klurfman from FAST Latam. And then we have, round of applause. Welcome, Melina, thank you. And Charlotte Presta from FAST France. And Karolina Pospieszynska-Marcinczyk from FAST Poland. We have Tom Kyo from FAST UK. Megan Cross from FAST Australia. And Benedetta Sitori from FAST Italy. And then Noah Firestone from FAST Canada. So welcome. Alana?
Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm very excited to be here. This is such a power center of everything that we do, and I think it's really vital for everyone here to understand that. Making our mission a global mission is going to make it go faster, it's going to make it go wider, and it's going to make it go deeper. So the first thing is just thank you to all of you. It's been a really amazing year getting to know all of you guys and getting to know your work. One of the things that I thought we could do today is give the audience a window into each of your parts of the landscape. So what I was hoping, if we could just start, I wanted all of you to answer the question of sort of what your biggest challenge in the past year has been. So you guys can go, we'll just start at the beginning and you can go through the line.
Okay, so I have a little help here. So our greatest challenges were reaching pharmaceutical companies, some regulatory barriers for different governments in Latin America, engage with physicians to increase their awareness of Angelman syndrome and related medications, encourage more geneticists to submit samples for free genetic diagnosis programs that we have in different countries, and finding more families in the region and have them actively participating in the community has also been a great challenge for us.
Thanks. In France, I think our greatest challenge was also our greatest achievement, which was having clinical trials up and running in France, which absolutely happened this year. And I say, of course, it's a key achievement, but it was also a challenge because on top of everything which we need to achieve to get clinical trial, there is local requirement on top, whether it's ethic committee, regulatory, GDPR, etc. And this is things on our way. And I remember that pretty much not every day, but every week we had like an additional form to do, an additional process to have. Good news is that this process is now quite mastered because we have nearly 3 investigational centers open in France with 3 clinical trials up and running and 8 kids already in the trial this year.
Amazing.
Our biggest challenge this year was definitely opening Fast Poland 2 months ago. And our whole Polish team is sitting over there. Asia, Bogusia i Hania. And we are very glad and honored that we can be here with you and that we can advocate for our Polish community. Thank you.
I think our biggest challenge, really, we're very lucky to have our natural history study up and running now, and we've got a couple of clinical trials. I think our biggest challenge remains really how to continue to effectively fundraise significant amounts of money for the projects that we want to continue to fund and potentially fund in the future. And I think it goes hand in hand really with also effective communication within our community and how we really penetrate and continue to penetrate in the community. And those two do remain big challenges for us, and we continue to think about those all the time.
I thought I had my biggest challenge laid out, and as these guys sort of laid out theirs, I'd reiterate all of them, fundraising. Australia's a massive country. It looks like a little island down the bottom of the world to all you guys, but we've got a very sparsely populated country, and educating people, getting them involved in understanding clinical trials, the importance of completing the global registry, just reaching people is very difficult these days with the saturation of social media and news that we have. So that's been a really big challenge for us.
Hi, I think we had more than one challenge since we were born, but I think the biggest one...
You can have 3 if you want. You can go up to 3.
I think the biggest one was to educate people and let families understand the importance of being educated about the syndrome and about the science behind it, and to get clinicians to understand that we needed them. And I think we did a great work over the last 5 years, and I think with the clinical trials coming up to Italy, this helped us a lot, and now we have a very engaged community. And if I may say, the second challenge was to find the new families, the new diagnoses, because based on statistics, we should have like 15, 20 kids new diagnosed every year, but you just have 2 or 3 of them. And so we are working together with FAST US and FAST Australia with the registry and the search and rescue initiative to work on that.
You can do both your challenge, and I'm going to have you go to the next question.
Sounds good. So Angelman syndrome doesn't seem to discriminate geographically, as we can see. It's very much a global cause to work towards a cure. And so in Canada, one of the challenges, we've had families and individuals and organizations that have worked so hard and raised a lot of funds, so we were really successful in that. But it's not always the best use of the funds or the most effective, efficient use of the funds to fund things in the country that the money was raised. And I think you know where I'm going with this. So some of the roadblocks we ran into and the difficulties were funding where there was already a wheel in motion and where the dollars could really have great effect towards our goal, and sometimes outside of Canada. So we did run into issues, regulatorily and tax laws, not-for-profit funding laws. We were able to overcome them recently, which was great, but it was a long road, and that was definitely our biggest difficulty.
Well, can you tell everyone how you overcame it?
With your help and Mady's help and Allison's help and a little bit of persistence and sending a lot of emails and bugging people, so it all worked out. So we're over that hump.
It's great. One of the things that I think that became apparent as I started to study the work that everyone on stage was doing and Amelia was that global is a challenge because there are certain problems that extend to everywhere. And then there are some problems that are region-specific. So one of the great things about Ellen and about having somebody who's an address to look at the world comprehensively is that she can see what problems she can solve for all of you at once, and then when she needs to work with each of you, if you have a tough regulatory knot, if you have a tough, for some reason, there's some reason why you can't find newly diagnosed patients, to customize your problems, but also potentially solve them all at once. So my next question for you guys, you gave us a window into this past year, into some of the challenges. What I'd like to know, and I'm going to quiz you on it next year when we're back here, so keep that in mind, is I want to know what your ambition is for the coming year.
Okay. One of our main, so Canada's a huge country with a very diverse population and a very spread out population, like Australia, like Megan was saying. So one of our aspirations that I think would be to really get some more involvement. We're very sort of centrally located in Canada right now, and it's like being in a different country than the West Coast possibly, or in Quebec, or on the East Coast. So to really get some involvement and get as many people to this event as possible, because this is really what brings people together. The French-Canadian population as well, of course, because it's a big part of Canada, and sort of get some more national involvement with FAST and participation.
Great. Benedetta.
Well, I think we are working now with a new project with the university in Bologna. We just applied for a big grant, and we hope we can fund this new work, and hopefully I can tell you about this next year. Okay.
So this year we funded 3 clinical nurse coordinators in 3 different clinics across Australia. So what we want to do is make sure that these clinics can reach everywhere in Australia, speaking to Noah's point, despite your geographic location or your age.
So wait, can you just tell us a little bit about the nurse coordinators, just so people have a window
into
that?
So the nurse coordinators are helping to run the clinics. They're collecting natural history through the registry, and they're also helping coordinate the clinical trials. So we're running all 4 clinical trials at the moment that are happening around the world in 4 different clinics in Australia.
It's amazing.
I'd like to reiterate Noah's point. Actually, one of our key things is to try and get much more of a spread around the UK, and get more and more people involved within FAST. I think we've got more people here this week than we have done before from the UK, so we're thrilled about that. But we must really push faster and harder on that. And then the other thing is, we're really trying to, we want to get. As I said, we've got a couple of clinical trials in England at the moment. We want to try and get more into the UK if we can, and that means getting more data, et cetera, et cetera. And really, for next year, engagement with the regulatory bodies for us is quite big. We haven't really started that yet. We're starting to make a push into that and really try and engage them in what we're doing.
Great.
Our plans for next year are quite simple. We would like to focus on strengthening our Polish community and cooperating with our clinicians, because we hope that clinical trials are possible also in Poland, and we would like to bring them to Poland as soon as possible.
Yeah, our plan for next year is to launch our Fast Friends Scientific Advisory Board, and that will be clearly a prerequisite to launch some studies, France and Europe, I would say, on endpoints and possibly also on meaningful endpoint for Europe.
So we are excited to have Latin America ambassadors here at this room for over 10 countries. We have people from Bolivia, Nicaragua, El Salvador, Ecuador, Peru, Guatemala, Panama, Chile, Colombia, Argentina, Mexico, and Chile. Gracias a todos ustedes por estar acá. And we want to be able to reach and unite every country in Latin America, so we have work ahead. And we are also proud to be conducting the first observational study in the region. We are very close to start it. so we can be potential sites for future clinical trials. So pharma companies, we are here ready for you. And additionally, we would like to carry out basic research in Argentina. And we are ambitious to be able to start a newborn screening pilot program in Argentina. And last but not least, we will be holding our first Latin American Angelman Congress in Colombia in 2024. So you are all invited.
Okay, so we're all going to Colombia. That's our next stop, guys. Our time is up, but I do want to thank everybody on stage and to tell you guys to please find these folks in the hallway, ask them your questions, talk to them about how you might start your own chapter, or talk to me, or talk to Amelia, or talk to Ellen. And really, these are people who are on the ground, and they're doing the work that is so vital to our mission. So please join me in giving them one last round of applause.